Hi, friends. It's me, Ali, your fancy friend in Montreal. For today's video, we're talking about my luxury beauty essentials that never fail me. Sometimes you need like a small compressed kit of items that no matter the occasion, no matter the mood, you can always reach for them and they always pull through. This is today's video. But before we go any further, let's take a second, grab our iced coffee or a hot coffee. Let's take a sip and let's get started. The first step here is a little bit of skincare. This is the Sisley Eye Contour Mask. I love this stuff because it works. It's meant to reduce the appearance of fine lines and puffiness. So what I do is I take like a small amount like this, and then I just apply a generous amount under my eyes. I know that those patches are popular as well for under eye. You know what? I'm going to apply a little bit more because I just need it. I'm adding basically twice the amount. I just want my under eye to look hydrated, plump, and juicy. And this will also work for my eyeshadow. If I have any fallout, I'll be able to clean it up after without using anything else to clean it up. Okay, so that is it there. Sometimes I like to use those patches under the eyes, you know what I mean? But this works and you really just leave it in place. I think you're meant to leave it on for 10 minutes and wipe. Oftentimes when I go to bed, I literally just put on a thick layer and go to sleep with it. It's too expensive to remove, but I'm just going to let this absorb into the skin. For the eyes, I'm going into this Clé de Peau palette here. I believe this one is called number 5, Coral Reef. There is nothing coral about this. This is a beautiful, neutral, nude palette. If you want a no-brainer, fail-safe palette, this is it. It is so user-friendly. All the brushes that I'm using are in the description box down below. I'm going into this shade here, which is technically their eyeshadow primer. I actually am wearing the Hourglass eyeshadow primer before. I just have very oily eyelids, and if I don't do that, who knows what the makeup will look like. So I'm just doing that, and I'm going in with a big fluffy brush like this. So the reason I'm doing the thick eye mask here is because my husband and I went on vacation to Mexico. We escaped the frozen tundra, and then as soon as we got back, we both got sick. I got sick first, and then being very generous, I gave it to him right away. So I just feel a little, I'm feeling a lot better, but I just think that I need a little extra boost, especially under the eyes. I feel like under the eyes is where I see it the most. So anyway, this palette here, just sweeping that, I was going to say topper shade. It's not the topper shade, it's the primer. You could use just this, but I don't know. I feel like if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it right. So I add the eyeshadow primer from Hourglass beforehand. Using a separate clean fluffy brush, I'm going into this color here. This eyeshadow palette, I don't know why it's called Coral Reef. There's nothing coral here. It's a beautiful, neutral, nudie palette. I've used it before on my channel, and since I was sick, I think it was the flu or a cold, I don't know what it was. It was not good, but you know when you're sick and then you eventually feel better, you kind of just need to go into items that are very simple, easy to use, don't require too much fussing, and if you're doing this routine at home and you're not explaining it to thousands of people, it's going to go by much faster and quicker and simple. And this palette here, you can do something dark and smoky with it. You can do something very light, very simple. It's incredibly versatile, so that's why it was the palette that I thought of off the top of my head. The Clé de Peau eyeshadow quads, they are pricey. It's Clé de Peau, but the quality is so nice. They're very blendable, very pigmented, just a great product. Using a flat brush, I'm going into this shade up here, this pretty shade. So Mexico was fantastic. We got to escape and just enjoy beautiful sunshine and palm trees and the sand and the sun, and gorgeous. It was our first time in Mexico. I don't think it'll be our last. It was just great. A fantastic time. And do you know what's so crazy? We met so many other Canadians and we met so many people from Quebec specifically on this vacation. I heard so much French walking around the resort. It was wild. So that was, it felt like being like home. We weren't home, but it felt like it a little bit. And we were not sick on the vacation. We had a great time. Again, the palm trees, the sunshine. I took this beautiful shot of the night sky because we were surrounded by stars in the sky. It was so pretty. And I think I actually succeeded in capturing turtles when we were snorkeling. We went snorkeling and I actually succeeded in getting some of them on camera. I felt very impressed with myself because being an underwater cinematographer is not an easy feat. Now I'm going into a very precise blending brush, something small like this, and I'm using something very small because I'm going into that darker color, and I don't necessarily want a dark look. I just want to add a little bit of definition. So the smaller, the better, like this. And I'm just going to knock off a little bit on my towel here. And we're just going into the corner and into the crease. I have hooded eyes, so I'm going to keep my eyes open and just draw a straight line up here. I'm using a separate clean blending brush and I'm just blending this outwards. And after our vacation, that's when we got sick. I mean, thankfully we didn't get sick on vacation. That would have definitely put a damper on things. But I had plans. I thought I was going to come back and I had an appointment at the Chanel counter to try the new Camellia Futura collection. That got postponed. Obviously, I was too sick. But sometimes we have plans and life decides otherwise. Since I am finally feeling well enough, that's how I decided to film this video. And I knew that I was feeling well enough when I knew that I could paint my nails. That's the sign, when you're able to paint your nails and not blowing your nose constantly, like, okay, I'm feeling better now. And I just like this idea of luxury products that never fail me because I have a lot of products. I'm sure you do as well if you watch this channel. But sometimes it's just good to just go back to basics in a way. When we think of basics or neutrals, people think it's basic in a bad way. It's not. These products work for a reason. And I'm just going back and forth here, just adding a touch of that darker color a little bit, and then blending it out. If you use two separate brushes, so you use one to add the darkness and then one to blend it out, this is how you control how dark the color gets and also how big or how wide it gets. If you just use the same one, it's easy for it to get out of hand. So just use a separate one. I know it may seem like a lot to use two, but once you start doing this, you'll notice that your eyeshadow is a bit more controlled and looks a bit more how you intended it to. Moving on to the eyeliner, I'm going into a shade from Victoria Beckham. I think it's called Cocoa. It's a dark brown, and as you can tell, it's getting nubby. I've used it so much that it's getting worn down to the nub. I'm just going to draw a thin line on top here. Victoria Beckham, when it comes to eyeliners, she really knows what she's doing. They're very creamy, they're smooth, there's no skipping. I'm barely even applying pressure here. And I'm just drawing a thin line on top, and it goes really well with this palette. I'm just very gently suggesting a winged liner. I'm not really doing a winged liner, but I'm just doing a little flick upwards here. It's like a suggestion of a winged liner, just to give a little bit of that lifted look without actually going into a winged liner. And then let's go into mascara. I have a sample here of the YSL Lash Clash. I love this mascara. I've purchased the full size many times, but I just have a little sample here. So I'm just going to use this. I've seen recently that brown mascaras are getting a resurgence, like a deep, rich brown. I haven't tried one yet. I'm a little bit hesitant because I have a lot of high contrast with my features, and I'm used to seeing very dark, rich lashes, and I'm a little bit concerned that brown would just not give me the effect that I want. But I'm a little bit curious. What are your thoughts on brown mascara? I have a little bit of fallout, not very much, just from that darker color. So I'm just taking a Q-tip here and I'm just going to clean this up. If there's one thing you should know about me is when it comes to cleaning up under eye makeup, I detest using actual eye makeup remover because when you think about it, you've already done all of your skincare and the skin around your eyes is so sensitive and delicate, and also eye creams tend to be even more expensive than actual moisturizers. So why would you remove that? I always like to go in with a drop of eye cream or eye mask, but if you do a generous swath of eye mask like this, you not only treat your under eye again, but also it just helps remove any fallout, just like this. So then you have two birds, one stone. I love that so much. As much as I love beauty and luxury beauty, I really love simplicity and let's work smarter, not harder. I'm going into the Chanel Les Beige Water Fresh Complexion Touch. They always come out with the most complicated names. I'm starting to run low on this one here. Now I'm using the shade B40, and there's something I'm a little bit apprehensive about. There's something about this formula that lends itself to a chunky texture. I mean, I cannot think of a worse adjective when talking about something I'm going to add to my face. But there's something about this formula. I think it's when it's the first time you've used it in a while. There's like a little residual crust, perhaps. And I don't want to mix with that. So I'm using a round brush like this, and I'm just going to break it down on the back of my hand, because what happens if I pick up the crust, oh my God, with the brush here, sometimes it falls on my clothing and foundation stains really quickly. So I'm just being a little bit apprehensive here. All that being said, I do really enjoy this foundation. It's extremely light, it's extremely sheer, and I like that no makeup look on my skin. And it adds a sort of blurring effect to the complexion, but it doesn't really hide anything. If you have sunspots, which I kind of do, and I probably will even more as I get older because I like the sun so much. But if you just have things that you're trying to hide, it's not really going to hide much. It just sort of gives a gentle wash and unification of your complexion. My concealer will be the Sublimage in the shade 32. I hope this still works. I'm a little bit more tan than I am normally, but I think it should be fine. It's funny because I have different foundations depending on the season, but it never occurs to me to get a different concealer. I just sort of roll with it, so I think it should be fine. For the cheek, I'm going into this palette here that once I purchased it, it was game over. I loved it. This product never fails me. It never has, it never will. This is from Dior, and it's the blush or contour duo, and this is the shade 100. It's a contour and highlighter. As you can tell, it is very well loved. I dig into this all the time. It's just, oh, it's so perfect. It adds contour, but in a very subtle way. And it's just, oh, it adds a little bit of sculpting, a little bit of contour in a very light, natural, beautiful way. They have blush ones, they have contour ones. They're just wonderful, but this one here in particular is my favorite. For a blush, I'm going into a slightly oldie but a goodie. This is the Chanel Les Beige Rose Polaire. Remember when they did a Les Beige winter edition that came out like a flash and went out like a flash? No warning. But this blush here is so pretty, and I think it's just going to give me a beautiful, healthy flush that I need. It has a little bit of highlighter in it, if I remember correctly. If not, I'll add a little bit more from my palette. See? Perfect. It gives you a very soft, natural, lit from within glow. It's a very buildable blush. It's very, very pretty. It's luminous without being too much of like a chunky glitter or anything like that. Oh, it's so pretty. You know what? This is the first time I've worn makeup in like 2 weeks. I didn't wear makeup on vacation and then I got back and I was sick. So I'm gonna go all out. I'm going to use the highlighter part here of the palette very gently because it is potent. So just adding a little bit, just like this. Instead of using a separate brush to add highlighter on the brow bone, I'm being very lazy. I'm just taking my brush that I used for my highlighter and I'm just sort of squishing it. Like I squished it in place instead of it being fluffy. I squished it like this. And I'm just going like that. There we go. Trick of the trade. Now for the lip, I'm going into my Prada Beauty lipstick. This is the shade here. A perfect nude. It's like your lip but better, but slightly brown. And the shade here is called B101. And just so you know, Prada Beauty is coming to Canada. I am so excited. I love Prada Beauty. I love their lipsticks. I love their makeup brushes, their eyeshadows. I've tried some of their skincare samples. Fantastic. I'm not sure exactly if it's going to be through Sephora or Holt Renfrew. I don't know, but Prada Beauty is coming to Canada. I'm very excited. Now for the fragrance, I want something that reminds me of the palm trees and the sunshine. So I'm going into this Lisoatier fragrance called Vent du Sud. I used to own a version of this in like university, high school, probably university, but it wasn't called Vent du Sud. It was called Bora Bora. I think they did a reformulation, unclear. But this perfume smells fruity. It's vanilla, but it smells like pineapple and kiwi. Like it smells like tropical fruit, not just like an apple or a berry, like tropical pineapple, kiwi. It's very, very sweet. It's a very sweet fragrance. So I'm going into this perfume to help channel the palm tree and the sunshine that I just experienced. And this will help boost my morale as well as my makeup. Well, all right, guys, that is it for today's video. That is it for my list of beauty essentials that never fail me. Time after time, these always pull through. This eyeshadow palette, it may look dull, the name may be confusing, but this is just pretty. That is what it is. You know, it just looks really nice. It looks elegant. It looks put together. The whole face looks like I'm wearing makeup, but in a very natural, subtle way. I would love to hear from you in the comments. What are some of your essential products that never fail you? Is there a lipstick out there? Regardless of the occasion, you can just throw it on. It always works. Let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what else you would like to see soon. So fingers crossed, I do feel well enough to, you know, actually go to my appointment at the Chanel counter, try the Camellia Futura collection, and I'll be able to do that video very soon. I feel like it's like a curse here on YouTube. When you announce, by the way, the next video is going to be this, something happens. You get sick, whatever happens, you know, like if you tell your audience, oh, by the way, next Thursday, you're going to be getting this video. No. Also, I've been too sick to even like really do proper research for beauty history, which really sucks because I'm so excited about that channel. I have been doing research, but just not, you know, I haven't been quite into library mode, but you know, I'm getting back into the swing of things. Anyway, thank you so much for stopping by. Please make sure that you are subscribed to my channel with your notification bell set to on, so whenever I do post a video, you will be notified. That is it for today's video. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.